就要被拔了，还浇啥水？这样多大？哎呀，别闷了，萝卜还挺小号，还有大号。机了，这个胡萝卜长得真不成功，喂鸡。这，
其实还能再种久一点的，说实话。
卖点牛羊粪。 松的季节要到了。在底下应该挺多的，你看这些全都在底下吃呢，一网打尽准备。全部喂鸡。你看这块多少在这儿？天哪！搞事，疼！把根儿。
阴天其实还是有紫外线的。
今天要转一下。还不害怕呀？这只。
I wake up from the sunshine on my face, so dehydrated, don't know what to say. Who's sleeping by my side? What did I do last night? Can someone take this headache away? Yesterday was supposed to be quiet.
Oh yeah.
Being to myself and sit in silence.
这就是所谓的天赋，他在了拔蒜台上。
They wanted me to go out for a while. We were dancing in the dark with a feeling in our eyes. Felt like we had it all. We were dancing in the dark. We were dancing in the dark. Wow. Every morning after feels the same. I know I only have myself to blame. We're drinking way too much.
Look，
We were dancing in the
这
dark
几个底下的就被击好。
with a feeling in our eyes. Felt like we had it all. We were dancing in the dark. We were dancing in the dark. We were dancing in the dark with a feeling in our eyes. We were dancing in the dark. We were dancing in the dark. I've been thinking of how to leave you, just to leave you first. I've been thinking of how to deceive you, to make you leave me first. My experience tells me that
长在草甸上休息的吗？我不知道他们为什么都决定在这个地方长，好神奇。这个我就长这么大没见过这么大的番茄。哎，这个番茄有点恐怖。这个本来我觉得还挺大的，跟这个一比，我给你找一个，看看这个 size 的 difference。 除外。完全被挡上了，但这里有一根超大的字体。哇塞，我都入水了，突然就降温了。花园里最大的瓜要出现了，顶天立地啊！这个瓜太重了，它已经成为了自己的结构支柱了，你看到吗 ？This is even possible。看这个字体跟这个蛇瓜相比。这个是今年长得最大的，说来有点惭愧。但是好像颗粒还是很饱满的，就是不是很多。其实还有些没有长出来的，你看到吗？那杆儿已经死了，没有多养分，直接把它给采了。就它这个杆儿现在还是青色的，就说明它还在给它供给养分。哎，好像可以吃。期待一下大瓜。